Awesome. Oh! Oh! God, that is good. Right, well, hello everybody. I hope you are safe. I hope you are well. You join myself and Uncle Red, and we are on a test ride. He is on the Harley Davidson Road Glide, and I am on the Harley Davidson Lowrider S, the 2022 Lowrider S. And boy do I have a first impressions review video to bring to you. So Uncle Red is up to his usual shenanigans. He's scraping the pegs as he always does. But let's talk about what we've got. So we have the brand new 2022 Harley Davidson Lowrider S. Now this year this has been upgraded to the Milwaukee 8117 V-twin. Last year it was only the 114, so yeah, we now have a nearly 2000cc motorcycle. Now you can get the Lowrider S or you can get the Lowrider ST, which is the sport touring version. It just comes with a big front fairing and loads of kit at the back, just probably a bit more for touring if that's what you're fancying. But let's talk about this bike. So we have 168 newton meters of torque, we have 105 brake horsepower, and we have a 0 to 60 time in supposedly 4 seconds. Now, I haven't been able to test that theory just yet, but according to the books, it is the second fastest 0 to 60 production bike by Harley Davidson, other than the Livewire. So that's some pretty mean going, you know, 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. It certainly does feel quick. The fella at the dealer was telling me you get it to 4,000 RPM, she becomes an absolute monster. But I even think getting there, don't get me wrong, it's not aggressive, it's not going to rip your arms off, but it gets there all right. Oh boy, does it get there. Now I should mention that this bike isn't completely stock. We have I believe a stage 1 remap. I don't think it's quite stage 2, but I do think it's stage 1. And we do have this lovely exhaust system. Just give this a listen if you can. Now without rear-ending Red, that's all I can show you right now. Just wanted to see if I get the microphone close to it. It just sounds like an absolute animal, doesn't it? The modifications that are on this are they are just remarkable, absolutely insane. This year it comes with a absolutely whacking air intake. Look at that bad boy. I hope my arm's not in the way, and I hope you can just about see it. At some point I will get off the bike and we'll do a little bit of a walk round, but that is a whopping big air intake, my goodness. But it looks the part. I'll tell you what, you barely have to touch the brakes on this bike. The engine braking, oh, it is very good, and that's always reassuring. It's very comforting for me. I prefer to be able to rely on a bike's engine braking, simply because it just saves you having to use those brakes. Obviously they are there and you will need them at some point. The front brake on this is quite good, quite confidence inspiring. The rear brake, I haven't had a great deal of use out of it, and when I did try to use it earlier when filtering it, I wasn't beaming with confidence from it. But hey ho, small price to pay. Obviously it depends whether you are going to be filtering on something like this. You can, simply because it's not actually that wide. It is it's a long bike, but I don't feel at all like I'm bursting at the seams at the side or anything like that. So by all means, braking so far has been very good. That engine braking, I can't rave about it enough. It's very good. I feel like I'm looking for validation from Red. Look at me lean the cruiser. But it is very confidence inspiring, it really is. I am a complete noob when it comes to cruisers. I know I've rode a few now and I've put them on the channel. I won't say I'm a complete newbie, but I am a noob. You know, I'm much more used to that upright position, leant over the tank and whatever have you, but this is just very inspiring into the corners. I don't feel like I need to cover much of the brake, just follow red through there. I love it. I absolutely love it. It leans in very, I don't know what the word is, very true, I would say. The fact that I am able to scrape cruiser pegs, it's not too heavy, and I think that works so much in its favour. It's a cruiser you could have a lot of fun on. Oh, there we go. Of course, we've got to do the U-turn test. It's a crucial part. Red can do it. I can just about do it, so happy days. Right, I'm going to do one more roundabout. Scraping that peg. And then I'm going to talk to you about comfort and suspension. Now, I am reasonably comfy, okay? Reasonably comfortable. The seat is nice and comfortable. It's got a lovely back support to stop me sliding at the back, which is absolutely perfect for those with no abdominal strength whatsoever. I have to say my legs aren't in the most natural position possible for me. Probably a little bit cramped there, but that's not the bike's fault. I would always put that down to height. So if you're, of course, 6 foot or under, then this is absolutely perfect for you. It's a low rider, which obviously gives away that it's quite a low bike. I think the seat height is only 690 millimeters. So yeah, not tall in the slightest. Anyone should be able to throw a leg over this. Like I've said before, it's nice and lightweight, nice and flickable, nice and throwable in the corners. So far, quick little blip up the M1, riding around Milton Keynes, which is very roundabouty. I wouldn't want to do many hours on it. I'd probably need a few breaks. That's not to say touring isn't possible. Touring is very possible. I'd need some breaks here and there. But someone else might find that completely different. They might love this seating position. They might find it just very natural. But obviously for me, coming from sports tourers and sports bikes, it's not natural. Probably would take a bit of getting used to. But nothing to slam the bike for. It's, like I say, I am reasonably comfortable. I could do this for a while without a doubt. Suspension as well, I have no bad points to say whatsoever. So far we've done dual carriageways, we've done a bit of filtering, we have done the motorway, and now we're here in Milton Keynes. I haven't felt any unnecessary bumps. I knew Red would go for it. I haven't felt any unnecessary knocks, cracks, bumps, whatever you want to say. I've hit as little potholes as I can, obviously riding a bike that isn't mine. But yeah, no, absolutely nothing to complain. If anything, it seems very solid. Very solid indeed. Very happy with it. Let's talk a bit about what's going on up here. So Harley Davidson have listened to some reviews. They know now that I think the time of having the displays here isn't ideal anymore. Nobody wants it. It's not practical. So they've opted out of that. They've put this very little one here. But it is in direct eyesight, so I'm looking ahead at the road. I now only have to glance my eyes down to look at things such as my revs, my speedometer, my fuel gauge, the time. There is a trip and obviously your miles and whatever have you, some other settings. But what I really like about this bike, and this is paying tribute to Exeter rider, there's nothing too fancy on it. And what I mean by that is I haven't got several clocks telling me 1,000,001 things about the bike. I don't need to know what voltage the battery's giving me at any 1 second. I don't have multiple modes. I don't have a rain mode for this, that or the other. I don't have traction control. I just literally have an old V-twin in a Harley Davidson that sounds like that. And that, what is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? Nothing at all. If anything, I think that's what more people are starting to want as these computers just get crazy. will say one negative.
Huh?
I will say one negative.
I was going to say, have you been losing your jeans?
Yeah. Hot. I think I'm too tall. I think a shorter rider doesn't have that problem. This either that or this needs to be longer.
Yeah.
That needs to go out to here.
Shield on it.
Huh?
You need a shield on it.
Well, that is the shield, but that needs to go longer.
Extended,
Yeah, because that really hurt then.
Oh.
That caught right on the skin.
Yeah.
Oh, that's burning. Now, it's really easy to say when you're test riding a bike that, oh, it's so smooth and everything's like butter. And I don't believe that. It's never, ever, ever true. So let me give you an honest sort of feedback, if you will, from the power delivery. It is manageable, and that's what I'll say. Now, when a bike has this much torque, I would expect it to be unmanageable, and it just isn't. I am actually surprised that it has 168 newton meters of torque. I really am, because it just doesn't feel that way. It's not smooth. It's a V-twin Harley. It's never going to be smooth. You see what I mean there? It's never going to be smooth, but it is manageable. Even there where I might have had a mislip, if you will, mislip of the throttle, it was absolutely fine. You know, absolutely fine for me, because now that I'm up to speed, simply because you have to give it some to get up to those speeds. I've always said about Harley Davidsons, I love them because they are the most fun. I'm indicating for no reason. They are the most fun you can have at road legal speeds. And that's not to say that, you know, you can't hoon around on one and be an absolute lawbreaker. Of course you can. You can on pretty much any bike. Literally pretty much any bike, you know, you can be a lawbreaker. So these are no exception, but why would you? And the bike doesn't encourage you to do that. Don't get me wrong, this with its noise and its 0 to 60 really does encourage you to get there as quickly as you can. But when you're in a place like Milton Keynes, when you've got the roundabouts and everything like that, like right now I'm quite happy at 40. Do you know what I mean? If I was on my Sprint, however, which is a bit more obviously aggressive, totally different style of bike, it makes you a little bit more, I want to say, throttle happy. Whereas on this, I obviously don't need much until I want to go fast. Then I need to absolutely rip it back, because that's the only way I'm going to get the speed. I've said this a million times. Every single time I've rode a Harley, can they stop putting left indicator there, right indicator there? If someone likes that, please put it in the comments. I'd like to know your reasoning why you like it. Not that you have to justify yourself. I'm not calling you out on your opinion. I'm just intrigued. Do you find it more practical? Because I don't. I also don't find that road glide very fast at all. That was not a quick overtake. So as we're coming up to some filtering, probably in a second, I just want to talk about who this bike's for, and this is going to be the perfect example. This is not like the Harley Davidsons of the old, and what I mean by that is I've always had this theory that Harley Davidson are trying to change their image a little bit, change their target audience. They've done this with a lot of the bikes that I test rode last year. I just thought they were so unlike Harley Davidson, and that's not in a bad way. They've made them more refined. Obviously technology advancing's done that as well, but I don't think the target audience anymore is your average, you know, middle-aged last hurrah, you know, anything like that. I honestly think this bike now is for anyone. You know, I'm still in my mid-20s, and I feel like I wouldn't be out of place riding this, whereas before, definitely I would have felt like I was too young for a Harley. Maybe not quite the right fit, or it wasn't the right bike, but I think Harley have really done a good job in making a bike that suits all, because like I said, this is manageable. It's very manageable to ride. I'm not going to say it's for the hipsters like I'm sure Red would probably say, but it's somewhere up there. So this bike is priced at 17,295, I believe, and the Sport Tourer version is priced at around 18 something. So a few extra £100, possibly even £1,000 or so, will get you the one with all the fairing and the bits and bobs and whatever have you. But where do I think 17,295 sits for this? So I think for that bike you get, for that price, you're getting a very capable bike, a bike that could even commute if you really wanted to be that evil. I personally wouldn't, but yeah, depending on so many factors, depends on whether that price is fair or not. What are you going to do with it? It's very capable, so it has a lot of options of what you can do. I personally would say, whether or not I think that is a fair price, or whether or not I think £17,000 is too much for any motorcycle, I would say the valuation of, you know, that price isn't too far from probably what I would be happy paying for this. And if anything, if money was no object, I probably wouldn't have an issue at all paying for this. Things that I'd probably change, or things that I'd probably desire, not much really. I'd rather that display, this whole thing, be a bit bigger. Just, I don't know why, but then aesthetically it wouldn't look very nice. I think it just, if it's bigger, it's a lot clearer. However, then you'd probably want the Sport Touring screen. The mirrors aren't the best, but they're also not the worst, so I won't complain too much about them. Again, maybe it's just because I have long arms, so I'm a little bit blocking them. There is a lot of travel between the gear lever, so you have to really kick up your foot just to get that up. But again, it's a tiny detail, and yeah, I definitely would want that heat shield extended, because earlier I absolutely I sort of melted my jeans a little bit. Nothing too bad, but the heat shield ends there. I'd probably want that just to be extended by, oh, I don't know, 10-15 centimeters or so, just to ensure that didn't happen. But other than that, yeah, very, very easy bike to move around, lug around, not too heavy at all. It's very front heavy. It reminds me a little bit, not as bad, so definitely don't take this out of context, but it reminds me a little bit of the front of the BMW R18. That was very front heavy. It was very front heavy, so give them a little bit of the noise. It was very front heavy, and this is the same. It if you are leaning, and if you are turning, so small car park, the weight drags on it, so be very careful. Could end up on the floor, but hopefully you'll be experienced enough not to do that. Something else I'll give you a quick warning about is these handlebars. Now, when I say warning, it's not from me. I really like this position. I feel like I'm holding on to the bike. I feel very wide. I feel very proud. I feel very big, and that's what I like. It's always what I look for in a motorcycle, is to have a presence, and I certainly feel like I have a presence on this bike. However, Red, who is the much more experienced cruiser rider, said that he would prefer these much more further back, so you know, closer to the rider. And I think I can understand a little bit what he's saying. You know, he's obviously not as tall as me, and perhaps it's a cruiser thing, you know, just to have them very much towards the rider. That way I don't know if it's just for aesthetics or if it serves a purpose. Again, I am a noob when it comes to this sort of stuff, when it comes to the cruisers, but I really like this. It doesn't feel sporty. It feels very adventure-y. Well, very like an adventure bike. I have complete just grasp. You know, I can see both of my arms in my peripheral vision, and they are very stern. I like it personally, but yeah, just watch out for that if you are considering one of these, or you think about riding one of them, and you are an avid cruiser lover, cruiser rider. This might not be what you're used to. So, as always, when it comes to test riding these Harleys, massive thank you, of course, to Watford Harley Davidson, part of the Lind Group. Really accommodating, always very nice, always very willing to let us out on some absolutely lovely bikes. So yeah, big shout out to them. Of course, why not come down here, check it out yourself, and if you do want a Harley Davidson, well, there is no better place to buy one, I would say. She certainly is a looker, in my opinion. That intake just brings it out, and that 2-into-1 exhaust system, oh, absolute just glorious noise. I picked up a leaf. Leave it to me. Wait a minute. No. I caught that on. Oh dear. On that note, I think we should just end it here. Hopefully Red will be kind enough to get a thumbnail for me. I beg your pardon. But yes, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Check out Uncle Red, of course, because he's standing right there. And of course, come down and check out Lind Harley Davidson in Watford. Right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Till the next time, cheers.